Hey guys, what's up? It's GVK Collectibles, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Godzilla, the Neca 1989, Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Biollante, and the Godzilla 2003 from Godzilla Tokyo SOS. So, let's start with the Godzilla vs. Biollante, first things first, because it is the older film out of these two. It has great packaging. As you can tell, it's the ultimate style of box that Neca has been using since the 1962 one, and has a wonderful poster of Godzilla vs. Biollante. This is actually probably my favorite poster of the Heisei films, with Biollante. Like, Biollante just looks so mean, which is kind of weird because she doesn't look this mean in her rose form. And you also get the Godzilla logo at the top, just to say this is an official Godzilla product, and it's kind of been the one they've been going with for a while. Then you get the katakana, or kanji, I'm not completely sure which one, of Godzilla vs. Biollante. Then you get Godzilla vs. Biollante in English, clearly. Then you have another side profile of the poster itself, which I think is really fantastic. You have the 65th anniversary on the side, showing Shin Godzilla, which makes sense, because Shin Godzilla made a lot of money in Japan. Then you get another backside of the figure. You get some cool production shots, him using his atomic breath. I really like how they lighted it there, and you get some cool, he looks like how he does in the film, which I think is phenomenal. Then there's a description on the bottom. We will get a close-up of that, and so you guys can read it, but if you're familiar with Godzilla vs. Biollante, you know what's up with Godzilla vs. Biollante. So we get a good profile shot. When you open the box, you get a good shot of, another production shot of Godzilla. Looks like he's fighting the Super X2 from the film, which I think is really cool. Although I prefer the Super X3 from Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Then you get an inside the box, and like with all the Godzilla figures, it does come with instructions that tell you how to put the tail on safely so you don't break it. And you also get a cool shot of these flowers that is actually from a deleted scene from the film. It wasn't in the original film, so it was really cool of Neca to put that in. It's a really nice touch and kind of shows the history of Godzilla. Now we have the Tokyo SOS packaging, which I think is absolutely fantastic too. Tokyo SOS, this design specifically for Godzilla, is one of my favorites. Well, one of my many favorites. It's basically a updated version of the Millennium design. There you have Godzilla, Kiryu, aka Neca Godzilla, and you get Mothra and the fairies and the main pilots of the movie. You get Mothra, the Mothra larva, Godzilla skeleton, which was really cool that Kiryu's built off the skeleton of the original Godzilla. Then you get a good side profile of Kiryu, Godzilla, and Mothra, along with the Mothra larva, with the Tokyo Tower in the background, and the 65th anniversary logo once again. Then you get some really great production shots of this one. I remember a lot of people being blown away by this one because it looked like on quality with the SH Monster Art figures. And there's also a good logo, there's also a description here that we'll get a close-up of when we get done, so you guys can read it, and also the Toho logo and the Godzilla trademark. Then you get the top of the box, which shows basically the same thing with Tokyo SOS and Neca. So let's get on to the figures. Alright, so we got these guys here with us, and man, these guys look absolutely phenomenal. I think Neca going out the way, it's unfortunate that Neca is losing in the license, but man, what a way to go. These figures are both really phenomenal. I don't know which one I like the most, but they're just both phenomenal figures, I think. So let's take a look at Night 89 real quick. Just really, really looks fantastic. He looks very much like how he did in the film itself. I think that he looks really good. Very much like the Biollante design, which this design would be kind of the Heisei design going forward, as opposed to the 84 design. But man, it is pretty great. I think my favorite thing about this figure is the tail itself. I think the tail is actually pretty fantastic. It isn't like the bendy wire tail for the 94 and 95, which was very, very small, which is kind of sad, but that was the early years of Neca of doing the Godzilla license, and this is clearly like years of trial to do with the figures. But he is pretty great. I don't know. As I said, I love both these figures. But he also comes with an atomic breath piece, which I think is actually the best atomic breath piece I think I've seen out of a Godzilla figure. The 2019 V2 is pretty great, and I think the subsequent ones that the 1962, the 1959, 1956, and the 1945 views are pretty great too, but I think this one's my favorite. And it's just very easy because he has a port within the mouth itself just to plug it in, so it's very easy, which, comparative to SH Monster Arts, you actually have to have a base to actually hold the atomic breath in, which is kind of a problem, but, you know, it's fine. But I think NECA, the one thing NECA did really well was their atomic breath pieces, being able to have it this way. So, let's get this guy out of the way real quick and take a look at 03. Now, 03 I really love as a design. I actually got the 8-inch Bandai Monster Movie series figure from my mom a long time ago, and I remember that one being my favorite Godzilla toy for the longest time, so it's kind of good to see this guy. He's got the scar, which I really love because it's a standout feature for this Godzilla design in specific, to differentiate him from the previous film, Godzilla against Mecha Godzilla. And also, it's a way for them in film to say, oh, this is the same Godzilla because he has this scar on his chest. Which is kind of like a big point that the self-defense force is trying to go after, trying to get that to take him down. But the dorsal fins look phenomenal on this guy. I really love the kind of spiky-esque dorsal fins. Don't get me wrong, I love all Godzilla designs, but there's something cool about these specific designs for them. So, since we got 03 right now, let's get into the articulation. The head is on a ball joint. It can move up relatively good. I feel like he can look down pretty good. The whole this whole point right here is rubber, so it's kind of like the Fugitive Predator's shoulder pads, where they're the plastic, so they can bend pretty easy, so you can get into pretty good articulation for the figure itself. He's got a ab crunch, which he can look pretty good, and that looks pretty cool, where you can get him into some pretty cool dynamic poses. The arms are on a single hinge joint. The arms also on a hinge joint, but they can rotate as well. Hinge. They also got the claw joints that every figure, I think with the exception of 89, the original 84, and the 2014 and the 2019 figures have, but I really don't care because usually I have them, but it's a nice feature to have for the figure. Legs can move, are on a ball joint, I think, as well, but they can rotate pretty good. Then, oh man, sorry, my figure's like really stiff, so I'm not gonna avoid doing that, so I don't want to breakage on camera. But there's also a ball joint in the feet, so you can get in, so you can move it around, so you can get him into some pretty good dynamic poses. So let's go, and oh well, I forgot the tail too. How can I not talk about the tail? The tail has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 points of articulation on it, which is pretty good for the tail. I prefer the articulated tails over the ball joint tails. I know a lot of people had troubles with the ball joint tail, not the ball joint tails, but the bendy wire tails. But I never really had a problem with bendy wire, but I do prefer this style, the articulated tail. Now let's get on to 89 real quick. And 89 has pretty similar articulation, but his neck, he isn't like hindered by the rubber kind of piece, this kind of soft plastic, but he can look up pretty good. He can look down pretty good with the neck joint here on a ball joint. You can also like kind of you can move them side to side a little bit. Then you got the arms, which go up. They can rotate, they can bend. Arms are on a single joint. Wrists can move up and down. He's also got the joints too. He's got the joints too, similar to 03. Legs can rotate pretty good. Then single joint right here. Looks pretty good. The tail, I think, on this one is actually my favorite tail on a lot of the Godzilla figures from NECA. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 points of articulation, and the articulation, I think, on this guy is pretty swell. So, next, let's get into a size comparison to both of the figures and see what they scale with. Alright, and let's check Godzilla 89, and he's roughly, he's above 7 inches, so he's a pretty sizable figure himself. And now I know, and this guy is about roughly the same, but I will say the Tokyo SOS Godzilla is a lot taller. Like, he is really massive. So let's get into size comparisons to see what they scale with. Alright, so here they are scaled next to the NECA 2019 King of the Monsters Godzilla, the original OG 1954 Godzilla. They're the Bandai Monster Movie Series Biollante and Monster Movie Series Kiru. Now, these figures are a lot smaller in comparison, and so they don't scale correctly, but I just wanted to point them out just because these two are the enemies in their respective films. And, of course, here they are next to the Mezco King Kong. And, that being said, like, comparative to the Kiru figure, he fits in pretty well. So if you want a Godzilla versus King Kong display, these two will fit really good into scale with each other. Or if you just want to wait for the King Kong from NECA to come out, which looks phenomenal, I'm pretty sure he's going to fit right in with the Kiru design. But yeah, what can I say about these figures that hasn't been already said? I feel like by a lot of people, these are really fantastic figures. A way to go with the Godzilla line. There are two more, technically two more Godzilla figures, both variations of these guys that are Target exclusive, so I'm going to be out on the hunt for those ones just to complete the collection. But if you are a fan of Godzilla, of either of these designs, Godzilla, or just love NECA and you want to collect the line before they go up and outrageously priced, I definitely suggest picking these guys up. Places I would suggest checking: Target will have them, your local comic book store, and possibly GameStop. But if you guys like this video, I would really appreciate a like from the Jax Bros Collectibles page, and we'll be doing more videos, and hopefully we'll get to see more reviews of these figures. So if you guys like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that little bell notification to get notifications all the time. See ya. This has been GVK Collectibles.